Hey, this is Jordan,
This is Oli.
and welcome to the Real Cut podcast, where we give you our unfiltered take on life. What?
What's up? Oh,
I was going to say, what's up?
oh,
You stole my line.
that's right.
Wow.
I'm a thief.
You are such a thief already.
That's right. The ladies call me a thief of hearts. Not true. Not true at all.
Like, I don't think anyone calls you
No,
that.
it's never been uttered.
How was your week
It's
since we last recorded?
it's been good. It's ups and downs like a normal week. Things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, but it's been good overall. Christmas was awesome. Had a good
Mhm.
relaxed day overall. Um,
And don't you usually watch either Christmas movies or Star Wars?
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Did you watch either of those on Christmas?
Yeah, I watched some Christmas movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually went to go watch a Nosferatu, a
Mm-hmm.
horror movie, but
Oh, I want to see that. How far in?
I got like 10 minutes in. A
Yeah.
friend of mine, she just wasn't feeling well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we ended up not finishing out, which is
Mm-hmm.
okay. I want to go back and try to finish it.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it. One of my
Mm-hmm.
friends, oh, you know Jessica as well. Danika's wife,
Oh, yeah.
Jessica Christian. And
I've
so
actually never met her, but I feel like I have
really,
because
oh,
I worked with Danica so
for so
closely for
long.
so long.
Oh,
I
that's
know.
funny. I have a really good relationship with both of
Like
them,
whenever I
actually.
meet her, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, like
You're like, I
I
know
know you
you.
so
Yeah.
well," and she's gonna be like, "Wow,
Uh,
creepy."
yeah. She probably, I don't know, Jessica's got a really warm spirit. She'd probably just
Aw.
like immediately be like, all right, great.
She'd roll with it.
Yeah, absolutely. She said it wasn't that scary though.
Oh,
And
okay.
she's kind of like a horror buff too. You know
It
what I mean?
might
She likes
be
that stuff.
like one of those. I mean, because actually it is a very old German tale. I don't
That's
know
what I've
if
heard.
yeah, like if you look up the history, it's a very old German tale. I
Yeah.
mean, I think from like the 1800s, if I
Well,
remember right.
and it was like one of the first horror movies out
Hmm.
too, right?
Yeah,
Is
it
that
used to be a play because they came out long before movies.
wow.
Yes,
That's
yeah, it
super
was
cool.
before, and so it, of course, is going to be a different. It's a classic horror, I believe, like the
Yeah.
old classics.
Wow.
Whereas now a horror movie is just like what they are now.
Right.
Very different than like a black and white classic horror movie, like The
Absolutely.
Birds,
Yes, I love The
or
Birds. Was great.
Frankenstein. Like
Yeah.
those are like the classic style.
Right. Where they're telling more of a tale than where the new
Hmm.
ones nowadays, I think, are more trying to get you to jump.
Yeah.
Or maybe a
Yeah.
little more gore to gross you out.
Right. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Because now we're so desensitized, we need that to feel
It's
scared.
so true.
Whereas back then, that was like very scary,
Oh yeah,
because that was kind of the first time it was in a movie, stuff like that.
100%. Do you remember? So I remember the first time I watched Signs in the movie theater.
Oh, I saw
That
it in the
movie,
movie theater too.
right? And it
And
scared the crap out of
it
me,
was that
right?
alien scene passing,
You
like,
know the exact what I'm
no,
talking about.
no.
Okay,
I
right?
was like,
So that happened. So I
"Oh,"
remember the first time like talking about being
like
more
in your
desensitized,
stomach,
right?
like,
Yeah.
oh,
I showed Lyle that movie, and I remember the first time I was sitting there just waiting, right? Knowing that
yes,
scene's coming up, being like, it's gonna get
yes.
him. Didn't even flinch.
I know. It's
Didn't even
so,
bother him at all.
yes,
And I
yeah.
was like, holy crap, how
Hmm.
desensitized are you?
What year did that come out? I'm curious. I was
Let's find out.
I went with my little brother. He was probably a little too young.
Oh, it was the year I graduated, 2002.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have been like 14.
I would have been
And
18. Yeah.
my little brother Trevor, um, you remember halfway through the movie,
Yeah.
I looked over and
What? Oh, this has got to be good. What was he doing? Was he like
see,
sucking his thumb or something? I mean, was he scared?
um
Yeah.
it's probably not that funny to normal. It's just
Right.
I can
Everybody else could hear it.
envision it and it was so funny to me.
Yeah.
It was back when they had paper tickets, and
Yes.
you'd have now they a lot of
From
times
time to
do, I
time. Yeah.
guess. Yeah. It's more like a receipt or whatever, but then it was those little
The stub.
almost cardboard. Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah. And he was so anxious he had eaten.
He'd eaten half of the stub, the ticket stub, because he's just sitting there anxiously like gnawing at it. Is that what you're That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. It's like
You're like, what are you doing?
down in pure horror. He had no idea that he had been doing that the whole
He'd
movie.
just been chewing like out of pure
Like
anxiety.
spearing, yeah.
That's
Anyways.
so good.
Uh,
That's hilarious.
yeah.
I wonder, like, it is funny to see like things that how people deal with that stuff. Like I'm a
I
clincher. I
know.
clench my hands
Oh, I
or my
hit
jaw.
people.
Yeah, I know you do.
Like, "Whack,"
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I just can't not.
Yeah, it's the same thing like when we went to the fights.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and someone would have a good
I
hit.
had to really restrain myself, and I went somewhere with Sophie and Anthony. Where did we go?
Yeah.
Oh, a hockey game. We went
Oh
to
yeah,
our
how was
first
that?
hockey
That's
game.
right.
It was awesome. It was just as good as I'd hoped.
Good.
So,
Yeah.
I'd always wanted to, but I took them myself. So I sat
Uh-huh.
in between because Mike was out of town with the other kids.
Right.
And oh my gosh, I was like, you guys, like, I'm going to whack you. Like, I was so nervous sometimes during it. And they're just like, "Meow," I'm like, but anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
I can't, I don't know why I do that.
That's
I
so funny.
can't not.
Well, it's just I think those are natural reactions. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's I don't think you're hitting anybody to hit them per se, but
No.
maybe more to like get their attention.
Yeah, it's like
And
I
that's
wanna
like the
make sure that
natural.
they're aware of what's happening
Yes.
because I'm,
That
like,
makes sense.
genuinely nervous in the moment, and I'm worried that other people don't have that same urgency. Like,
Yeah.
it's obviously subconscious. Like,
Absolutely.
if I was actually in danger, I would want everyone around me to have awareness so that we could all fight whatever it is or
Right. Or
whatever.
run or whatever you need
Right,
to do.
whatever,
Yes.
yeah, so I don't know, it's
That's good though,
frustrating.
because like you're the person who's going to warn people around you. Like that's a positive thing as
Yeah,
far as
just
I
not
see
when you're
it.
watching a movie or a hockey game with your family.
Well, you know what? People just need to wear a little extra padding around you is
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, anyways. Yeah, well, I'm excited to watch that movie,
Yeah.
though. Mhm.
You know who else hits people when they're excited? Is Elaine from Seinfeld. I don't know if you've ever watched
Oh,
Seinfeld.
yeah.
That was like her
Oh, I
thing. She'd
didn't
be
know
like,
she
"Get
did
out!"
that.
and she'd smash people. You know? Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That was totally. So
awesome.
you're not alone. I was while you were
Good.
talking about it. I was in my mind. I was like,
Yeah.
"Who else? I know somebody else." Like I
Yeah.
know people who do this as well.
Right.
And I think a lot of us, like I punched friends and stuff like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Been like, "Dude," you know, and you hit them,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
or
Oh,
something. But
and
that's funny.
it's like I don't do it in anger.
No,
Just so
no, yeah,
everybody knows, I have never it's just when I'm nervous, I'll, like, whack the person next to me.
exactly.
Ugh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, you're not just walking around being like hitting people.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like
Oh my gosh, they're all good sports with me. And
that's
you
so
were
good.
during the fight.
Yeah. Well, that's all. I mean, I think that's how it ends up like I'm used to like I don't know. Like I don't know if this translates on the girls' world, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
just a guy, so I can just speak about my experiences, you know?
Right.
But I know like as a guy, like a lot of girls usually do that. Like they'll grab you or something. So you get used to it. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of like
Yeah.
I think that's why like I get used to bracing when something
Yeah.
happens because
That
I'm
would be
usually
a
like
little
grabbed or
freakier if
hit.
it was a guy tour yeah, that hasn't really happened to me.
Right. You
Yeah,
know, yeah.
aside from, obviously, like, physically abusive relationships.
Right.
But other than those, like, no, that's not really a
Right.
thing.
Well, we did have that story actually thinking about that now, like where
Mhm.
that girl went to the scary movie and the guy hid behind her.
Oh,
If you
yes.
remember?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
so it
yeah.
does apparently happen.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about
and
that
it
now.
would be not good.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It'd
Well,
be
and like
negative.
not to like I mean, everybody's got their place in their role in life, right? But I know
Yeah.
like I personally just how I see myself, like I want to be strong and a
Mhm.
protector. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I
Yeah.
definitely wouldn't want to be looked at like 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 I
Yeah.
can't be stronger or protect them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
you got to be like be ready to take that hit or that grab, like
Mhm.
and you'd be like, "It's good, I'm fine." Yeah, everything's.
Yeah.
Although you're
You're
scared
like, "You
inside
got a
too, you're just
bruise."
like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god."
Yeah.
That's how I
That's
look at it.
true,
Like with
that's true.
spiders. Like I
Yeah.
hate spiders. I'm
Mhm.
scared of spiders.
Mhm.
I'm not afraid to admit it. Like I am
Yeah.
terrified of spiders. But when my son came along, my child,
Yeah.
um, he like his mom and I share 50-50, right? It's fully down the middle.
Mhm.
And the times when he's at my house, he would like I remember one time he came out and he was like, "Dad, I can't sleep." And I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "There is this huge spider above my bed."
Oh,
And I was like, "Whatever."
no.
Like you're just making like you know how kids do,
Oh,
right? I'm like,
yeah.
it's an excuse. He'd already given me like six before this, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Water,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I walk in there, and the boy is not joking. Like right above his head on the
Oh.
wall, in the corner between the wall and the ceiling, right? That little area
Oh,
is like a spider. Like I kid you not,
oh,
like the
it's one
size
of
of like a
those
half
big
dollar,
ones.
big, like if
Oh,
not bigger, like a huge,
no.
right? Like wolf spider.
Mm-mm.
And I'm sitting there going, okay. And
And
he's
it's like
like,
you have to do something about it, otherwise it could crawl into your room.
right, no, and I'm dad.
So,
I can't just be like, "Oh," and I'm trying to be
it's
like big
fine.
and brave. He's like 6 at this
Mhm.
time, so like I'm still
Yeah.
like big and strong dad, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like trying to suck it up. Inside, I'm
Mhm.
like terrified.
So how did you get it though? Those
Oh my
huge ones
gosh.
are so scary.
So he didn't want me to kill it. Was at that time I was like a
Yeah.
bleeding heart. He still
Yeah.
kind of is. Like
Yeah.
this is right around the time when
Oh.
he was like, he found out how like our meat was made,
Oh,
but it's not
yes.
just
Yeah.
meat.
It's always kind of
Yeah.
rocks their world when they're like around
Oh
that
yeah.
age and they find out that a chicken is actually from a chicken,
Right, exactly. Yeah, and
you
then beef
know,
is a
and the
cow.
beef comes from a cow
Yeah.
and like they're all like,
He's like, "What?" And
I
I'm like,
know. It's always kind of traumatic.
so he's like, "Dad, just save it, just save it." And I'm like, "All
Yeah.
right." And so I go out and I got this like little Tupperware container,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I went up to like not smash it, but contain it, you
Yeah.
know? And then it fell. And it fell
No.
right in between the crack. And he's got like at this
Oh.
age, he's got all these stuffed animals on his
Oh,
bed. So it falls in between
yes.
the crack of the bed and the stuffed animals. So now and he's looking at me like, I can't sleep here. And I'm like, yeah, we have to burn the apartment down. That's the
Yeah.
only option.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like I'm sitting there, but he's like, Dad, like help me out. And like either I look at my son and I tell him I can't take care of him and I accept that, or I
Suck it
swallow it
up.
and try to be the big
Mhm.
strong man I want him to see me as, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, all right. And inside I'm like, I'm sweating bullets.
Petrified.
I'm
Yes.
petrified.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like moving, like each one waiting for this like spider to come out at me, you know, at any moment,
Yes.
right?
It's like, does it jump? Either way, you know
Right.
it's fast.
Exactly. And so
Ugh.
long story short, I ended up getting all like slowly but surely, I got all the stuffed animals. I had to move. So his mattress was on the ground at the time. He had a box spring and a mattress. And because he wanted to be a little lower to the ground.
Uh-huh.
And so I had it on the ground. So I had to
Yeah.
end up moving like box spring and mattress away. And it was all the way down on the ground in between there. I had to like
Mhm.
find it. And
Mhm.
I ended up finding the guy and getting him out safely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It might have been
and
a girl spider.
it was. That's a
Wow.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they, the
Check.
spider, I did not. I did not. You know, it's true. I don't know why it was. You see, I saw it as like a nemesis, and
Yeah.
so it was a
Yeah.
man automatically at that point, right? But you're right. It could have been a lady spider. It could have been just
And
looking
it could
for,
have been about ready to lay eggs,
which would have been
so
even
mm,
worse,
mm,
honestly. So,
yes.
but we got it out, safe and sound. We threw it out. We had a little like grassy knoll area, you know, kind of put it in.
Mhm.
So, you know, it
Mhm.
went out and lived its life.
Yeah.
That apartment complex was funny. I remember one time I was just hanging out. It was my day off. And all of a sudden I had this like really frantic knock on my door, just knock, knock, knock,
Sorry.
knock, knock.
I just had a really bad memory.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
share it in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, continue.
And I remember just being kind of flustered because I think I just smoked as well. And so I wasn't expecting anybody
Yeah.
around. Like I was just gonna relax, you know?
Yeah.
And so to hear this like bam, 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 bam on my door, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I like start going, did I pay all my bills? Like what's going on? You know, because
Yeah.
like when somebody knocks like that,
Yeah.
you're like, what is going on?
Ooh.
And I'm just
Am I
forgetful.
about to get like assassinated
Right, right.
like in the
And
movies?
I open up the door and it's my landlord and he's looking at me and he's flustered and he's breathing heavy and he's just like, are you okay? And I'm like, Yeah, like what's
Oh
going
my
on?" And
gosh.
he's like, "Do you have ants in your house?" And I'm like, "No." Like, "What?" You know what I mean? I'm really confused because he's like,
Why would you be that flustered over ants?
"Right." And so he's like, "You need to come outside right now." And I'm like, "Okay," because he can tell like I'm not on the same level as him, right? And
Yeah.
so he's like, "You need to come see why I'm at," you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And there was literally, I don't know what you call like a horde or a
Mhm.
large amount of ants. And I'm
Yeah.
talking like a large amount, like
Oh.
thousands.
Oh my
Like, and they were
gosh. Oh,
climbing
I
up
can
my
feel them on
apartment
me right now.
building into my apartment building,
Oh my
climbing
gosh.
through my apartment building out the back. And
Uh-huh.
then down to the ground. So they were
Yeah.
literally just traveling through.
Oh
But
my
so they didn't know if they were coming into the
god.
actual
Oh,
apartment
yeah, yeah,
building,
yeah.
right? Because that's where I was on the second floor. They were
Uh-huh.
literally just going through cracks or whatever. They never
Yeah.
came into my
Yeah.
apartment building
Oh my
and they
gosh.
just passed by.
Wow.
They have it like
Yeah, they just had somewhere to be.
exactly. Yeah, they were
They're just
migrating.
on a
I don't know
they
ants.
were
I don't
yeah.
know any of their living like situations or if they
Yeah.
migrate or not.
Yeah.
But like,
Well, usually it's they find a source of food.
right.
So one of those little guys found something good
Yeah.
or maybe built a new home or something and they're all going from
Which
one to the other.
that's what I was wondering because there was like a little forest area, like
Mhm.
a small little grove between
Mhm.
our apartments and another set of apartments.
Yeah.
And that's where they were going. So I don't
Mhm.
know if they were going through the grove to the other apartments
Yeah.
or to the grove,
Yeah.
which would be no one really went back there. So it'd be a good
Yeah.
area for animals or insects
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was pretty crazy because like I'm telling you, like you could see the black
That's
moving across my
so
building. You know what I mean? It was that many.
crazy.
Yeah, it was insane.
So I have only seen bugs, insects like that do that one time.
Okay.
I other than that, it's like you see an anthill
Right,
or
absolutely.
that's like and I know what you mean. Like when you are looking at an anthill, there's usually like a couple inches in diameter
Right.
of that thick of ants. But
Right.
I can't imagine it covering so much more space. That would just be so awful.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
ridiculous.
but that
Like,
happened one year, and and it's literally I've never seen anything like it. I might not because now I'm 36, and it's only the only time I've seen it.
you never know. You got a whole
It
other half a
was
life left.
yeah, it was that, but with ladybugs.
Ooh.
I hate ladybugs to this day because it was so awful. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
We lived in a
They're so
farmhouse in
cute and nice.
Roseburg. I know I liked them before this
Yeah, no.
situation. I was 14 or so,
Okay.
and there was like a massive, probably hatching of some sort, but I don't know why it was this many. It was the same thing. It
Yeah.
was carpets of them. So it was on our front porch. So just carpets. I mean, you couldn't see through them. We were just floored, but they were in our house.
Whoa.
They were like hatching all in our house, and they were in all the and it's a 1900s farmhouse. So there's
Right.
cracks, crevices,
Everywhere.
floorboards are you can see through the floorboards like it was very old.
Yeah.
And they're in our bedrooms, on our ceilings. My mom was vacuuming them because there was no way to get them out.
Wow.
Like it's not like you could just pick them out. They were
No.
everywhere. And so she was vacuuming them, but for about 2 weeks, we could not get them all out. And they would be in my bed. I would wake up and they'd be in my bed.
Oh,
And I would like walk to the bathroom in the night and be crunching on them. It was
that
like
would
a
be the
Egypt
worst.
plague.
That would be the
It
worst right
was
there.
so awful. There were
Oh,
dead smashed ones everywhere, and they were literally getting in my bed because we couldn't
yeah.
get them all out of the house. It was so awful, and I just hate ladybugs now.
I
It was so
understand that. That
gross.
makes sense.
But
That's
that's the only time I've
understandable.
seen that, so it does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
But and it could have been worse. It could have been bees. Ants would be
True.
pretty gross.
True.
It could
Yeah.
have been carpenter ants. It could have been
But still, the
oh,
walk
like
into the
there's a
middle of
lot
the night,
worse. Oh, it could have
you
been
got me with that.
spiders. Imagine. But
Oh,
yeah, anyways, yeah,
oh,
it was pretty awful.
the texture of like
No.
bare feet
Mm-mm.
across.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Mm.
And like we grew up with like mice in the house and stuff, and that never
Right.
bothered me. I thought they were super cute. I have memories just like gonna go take a shower and there'd be a little mouse in the bathtub, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
so cute. So like things don't usually like bother me.
Right.
But anyway, so
Well, yeah, you grew up in the country. You're a country girl,
hmm
so I mean,
and
like
there
you're
were
used to that
definitely
stuff.
spiders. I woke up to many a spider in my bed. But yeah, that was just next level. I don't know. So yeah.
Well, that would be next level. Like, yeah, that sounds insane.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a
So,
whole other set of like ladybugs
mhm.
too. Like, because they do have a crunch. I could only imagine
Yeah. Mhm.
like that whole shell
Yeah.
and everything.
Because
Oh.
usually you're not stepping on them.
Right.
But
No,
if
never.
it's
Yeah.
pitch black and in those old houses, you don't have like hall lights and stuff.
Right.
Like you don't even have lights in all the rooms. Like, because back then people used different
Candles.
ways to. Mhm.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, pretty awful. So
That's crazy.
that was pretty gross. But speaking of things that bother you,
Yes.
I was gonna ask you if you have any pet peeves.
Ooh,
That
pet
was something I wanted to ask
peeves.
you today. So, but before I forget it.
I've got a couple. Off the top of my head, one that I can't stand is when somebody says, "Oh, you know what? Never mind."
Oh,
I hate that. I hate that.
interesting.
Finish your thought. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
even if you don't feel that way anymore, or you realize,
Mhm.
like my OCD and autism, like I need to know
You need to know it.
now
It
what
needs
you
to
were
be
saying
completed.
exactly,
Okay.
because otherwise, like the rest of the day,
Yeah.
as dumb as it sounds, I will
Huh.
be thinking about this. I'll be
Yeah.
like, what were they gonna say?
Right.
What was going like the
Yeah.
detective in me
The
starts being like, what were we doing
unknown.
before that? What were we talking about?
Mhm.
What could have been? It's
Yeah.
like
You all have one of those boards with the red
exactly.
the red string, and you're
It's
like,
got-
"Where did this come from?" And someone just like decided they weren't thirsty
you're
anymore
gonna
or
come
something.
over one day and I'm gonna be like, look, I got it all figured out.
It's like, nah, I just forgot what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly. That's exactly it. Like
Oh,
I hate that. It just
that's
bothers me.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then what else? Shoot, I went blank. I had a couple others loaded.
Yeah,
Kicking tables. I mean, do you have one off the top of your head?
I do.
Let's hear it. What is it?
And then if you think of your other
I'll
one,
bring mine back up.
I actually have three, but let me think of my most, the one that bothers me the most.
Yeah.
I
Oh, I
would
thought of another one.
say, okay, do you
Sorry.
want to,
No,
if you
go
think
ahead.
you'll forget it,
I
say
won't.
it.
I won't.
Okay, so I think the one that bothers me the most is
Mm-hmm.
when I, when someone's going through something or they're having a hard day or
Yeah.
like there is something that I just feel so sorry for them.
Yeah. Screw them.
I
That
want
bothers me
to,
too. No, I'm just
you're
kidding.
like,
I'm totally
yep.
kidding.
They're my pet peeve is that they're having a hard
Yeah,
time. No, I'm just
exactly.
kidding. No, it's when I feel sorry for them. I just feel horrible that they're going through this or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I say, I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel sorry for you.
Right.
And like I want them to know that I care.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll be like, I'm so sorry you're going through that.
Yeah.
And then they say, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Like,
That
I'm
bothers
not
you.
apologizing.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
they not
But you
realize
do
that
say I'm sorry.
sorry
That's an apology.
sorry, and then sorry is used 2 ways.
True.
It
True.
just means to feel bad for somebody,
Yeah.
and so I'm not apologizing because I didn't do anything
Right,
wrong.
right. Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm sorry, like, I'm
Right.
so sorry you're going through that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then they act like I'm apologizing to them.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's not my fault. We all
Yeah.
know that. Like, I'm not saying apologizing to you.
Right, right.
Oh, I hate that so
That
much.
bothers you, I can tell.
Oh, big
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
I'm
like
gonna make sure to drop that one a
I'm
lot.
like, "I'm sorry. Do you know," like, now, again, I'm not apologizing to you, but I'm
Right.
sorry. Like, do you not know the English language? Do you
Exactly.
not know the difference between sympathy and an apology?
Right.
Like, do you go
Right.
back to school.
Or
I
empathy
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's
Anyway,
true.
so that's my top
I
one.
like it. I can tell. Ooh,
Yeah.
you got the
I kn and
fire going inside you right now.
the wild thing is, like, I am the most chill ever. Like, I
You are.
rarely things bother me except these 3 things, and
Right.
I know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other than that, like, I don't have road rage. I like nothing other than that.
See with my other one, so we'll jump back
Okay.
in just because you
Okay.
said road rage. It has to
Okay.
deal with that. So I cannot stand if you are on a road
Mhm.
that doesn't have any sidewalk or crosswalks
Okay.
and you have to like jaywalk or whatever,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I get that.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it and there's a crosswalk like 100 yards or not even that, like it's right
Yeah.
there and you're
Right.
stopping traffic for it and everything, like
Yeah.
that pisses I
It's
cannot
like,
stand
walk
that.
10 more
Right.
yards.
Well, you like I've seen accidents because of people doing
Yeah.
this, like, and not even the
Yes.
person got hit. Like
Yeah.
they caused the accident.
Oh,
Like other cars hit each
oh
other
my
because they're stopping because this person
gosh.
walked down the
Yeah.
middle of the
It's like
road.
there's a crosswalk for a
That's
reason.
my point. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
and it's safety for you, it's safety for others.
Yeah.
Like especially there's one area where people do it every
Mhm.
Sunday. And it's from this parkade to a church downtown.
Okay.
And literally there's a crosswalk on both sides and they walk through the middle and it
Why?
drives me crazy. And because I
Wow.
have to go by
Yeah.
there a lot when I'm picking up Lyle
Yep.
after our runs and
Yep.
stuff like that. So
Oh,
it's
you
like
know
an
what? Mike does this.
yeah,
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 and it bothers me. It's so none of this is a pet peeve.
right,
A
right,
pet peeve is very different than like if you're just like, "Man, why'd you do that?" Like
right,
a pet
right,
peeve it like hits you to your core.
yeah,
But it does bother me. I'm like, literally there's crosswalks like at every corner downtown.
yeah.
And if he sees that there's no cars, he's like, "Come on!" And he just charges through and I'm like,
Like no, there's a
"Okay, I guess
crosswalk right
I'll
there.
follow you, but if cars are coming, I'm just like, "Nah, I'm walking on the crosswalk."
Right. Well, it's just
So, but
a safer way to
I
do it for
don't love
everybody.
that. No, I
Yeah.
don't love
I'll
that.
yell at people. I'll roll down my
Yeah.
window and be like, if only there was a crosswalk. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, it bothers me to my core so much. And then you see people and they're like, oh, and I'm like, man, if there was a safe way for you to pass with your children, like I call
Oh,
parents
if you
out.
have
Yeah. They
kids,
have, no,
oh.
you see people do it all the time. They'll
Ugh.
just drag their kid and their kid's like,
Well, their kid
getting
doesn't
dragged out in front
know.
of cars.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
it just blows my mind. Like,
That's a pretty
why
solid
play
one.
Frogger when you have a safe way of doing it, you
Mhm,
know?
mhm.
And for all of us, not even like because I don't want to hit them, obviously, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I'm gonna stop and then what somebody hits me behind because I
Mhm,
braked for you when you're in an area you shouldn't even
mhm.
been in.
Right.
Like anyway, and I could go
Nope.
off. You could tell, like this is a
I
I could go off.
know.
Like
Yeah, it's true.
absolutely. That's one of the things that bothers me. But it's not even like a huge thing, you know.
Mhm.
I mean it is to me, like it bothers. I don't know why it bothers me
Yeah.
like a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
I have one that is so minor, and I don't know why it bothers me so much. And I've also actively worked on not being bothered,
Right.
and so I every time I'm like, don't let it bother you.
Yeah.
But and I think I know now why people do it.
Hmm.
Okay, so like when you sneeze, how many sneezes do you do in a
Oh,
row?
I know this one about you. So I typically always sneeze like about around 3 times.
Okay.
If I sneeze
You
once,
sneeze only one time, I've
okay. Yeah,
noticed,
yeah.
which has helped me overcome this. Yeah, but
Right.
I also sneeze about 3 times.
How funny is
2,
that?
3, or 4,
Yeah,
like, a
every
couple times.
time usually.
Yeah, and I feel like that's normal for a lot of people, but ever
Hmm.
since I started working on not being bothered by this, I do notice a lot of people sneeze one time.
Yeah.
Mike,
No,
is that
there are a lot of people.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, they're lucky, man, because I hate sneezing." But
Yeah,
anyways,
for real.
so it's, like, so annoying, you know?
Yeah.
It's a pet peeve that I even sneeze, first of all.
You're
Like,
just
why
angry.
do we
You're angry
sneeze?
that you even are
Like,
sneezing. Yeah.
why like, literally, why
Yeah.
do we sneeze?
Because something tickles our nose hair.
No, I mean, like, why did our bodies get created that way?
Oh, to sneeze in general.
Yeah,
Well, it's to blow out anything that's
like, in our
blocking our nose.
nose?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's is my thought.
Do we sneeze through our nose, though?
Well, I think so because like I think like a lot of times when you can sneeze through both. You can sneeze through your mouth or your nose, right? But I don't think anything like triggers the sneeze in your mouth per se. I think
Yeah,
most of the triggering for the
yeah.
sneeze happens in your nose, which
Weird.
would lead me to believe that it's causing like the whole idea like if I was an engineer and
Yeah,
I was creating the body,
yeah,
right? Like the thought process I have when thinking about it, like why we sneeze,
yeah,
it would be to clear the
to get
pathway.
something out. Yeah.
Exactly. Because something's triggering it
Weird.
or showing it that it's blocked. And
Yeah,
so then your body immediately
yeah. So
clears it.
there's a good reason for it. It's just
Maybe. I don't know if this is it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's
like
me using.
yawning, stuff like that. I'm like, "What? Now I have to
I'm
yawn."
still
Oh,
curious
that's
about
annoying.
that. Somebody like,
I know,
so
like, why
people
do
always
people
say you're
something about air.
right, like your brain doesn't have enough oxygen.
Oh, yeah,
And
something
so
like
that's why
that.
you yawn
Yeah,
to take in more.
yeah.
But I don't know if that's like right or
I
not. I feel like I
know,
Googled
it's
that
like
at
a
one
weird
point.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I normally sneeze like 3 times also.
Oh, yes, yes.
And when people say bless you after every single sneeze, I'm like, "Can you just chill?
I've done this to you.
You know better now."
No, I know better. That's why
I'm
I'm
like,
laughing though. When you said it, I was like, oh, I know exactly
"Oh
what you're
my
talking about.
gosh, like, just let me get through my sneezes because I wanna say thank you, and
Yeah.
then I can't say thank you because 'cause I'm on my next sneeze, and then it's awkward, and then the person's like, 'Do I say it again?' And then they don't wanna say it for a 3rd time,
No, yeah.
and it's just the worst. I'm like, it's so stressful.
See, my favorite thing is if somebody does that, I'll say bless you for the first two. And then after the third one, I'm like, God has you now. That's what I feel. So I think it makes it funny. You know what I mean? Like,
Session to be blessed
no, and that's fair. That's fair.
in one swoop.
One solid blessing.
Yes, I
Yeah,
want one blessing. I don't need little, like, half-hearted ones
right.
that get interrupted anyways.
So the polite way would be to wait then,
Yeah, you
to
just
watch you. Like you
wait.
sneeze and go, is there
Yeah.
more?
Yeah, like, give it just, like, a
Right.
second.
What do you think the appropriate amount of time to wait would be? Like how long do you have in between your
Okay,
sneeze?
do 3 fake sneezes.
That's what I was
Right
thinking.
now.
Like, well, you could do it like chew, 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 right?
Yeah.
Or is it gonna
Most
be it's
people,
gonna
it's
be
like
chew, chew, chew like that?
okay, yeah, so do your last one, and then I'll show you the perfect amount of
Oh
time.
yeah, okay. So like a chew. That's such a dumb
Wait,
sneeze
was that your
sound.
3rd one or your last
No,
one?
no, it's we'll just say well, so I'll do one and we'll just say it's the last one. Otherwise-
This is great role play.
Listen, we were in sales. We know all about role playing.
Okay,
That's in
alright,
sales.
go.
Do you remember doing that in sales?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So a chew.
Bliss.
Oh
Oh,
wait. Oh shit.
you're
I know I did. I see, and then I deviated from the plan. So yeah, you're right. That was me. That
uh,
was me. Okay, so I'm gonna do one.
okay,
That's gonna be the last one, and that will get
okay,
okay. So
okay.
we're on the same page.
Mhm.
A chew.
Bless you.
Okay.
That's,
So
like,
about a 5 second
perfect.
interval.
Like
About
3.
yeah, 3 second
Yeah,
interval.
mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
There we
So
go. Lesson
everybody
learned,
listen.
everybody.
Give everybody a
It's
three
like
second interval.
it's like and yeah, it's like you wait, and then as soon as you realize there's not another sneeze, you just give it one more little beat and then say, "Excuse me." I
I like
mean,
it.
bless you.
Excuse me.
You're like, "Wait, what are we talking about? You deviate."
That's awesome. I
Yeah,
love it.
so there's that. Do you have any
Okay.
more?
I'm sure I do. What else? I oh, for me, like I don't know if it's a pet peeve actually. Like I was gonna talk about how like I have certain so like I do like with my closet, I
Yeah.
have a certain way I like it to be.
Yeah.
And if it gets undone that way, then it's like a pet peeve. I don't know if that's a
Oh,
pet peeve or you know what I mean or how,
yeah.
but like so I am that guy. Like if you look at my closet, my
Mhm.
shirts are organized by style
Mhm.
and then color within the style.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I
Yeah.
like it that way.
Wow.
Like if it gets like my poor son
That would
will put
stress
my
me
stuff
out.
away and I get like frustrated with him because I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like you can't like and he's just like everybody
So,
else just throws their shit in the closet, man. Come on.
yeah, that is very
That
OCD.
is. No,
Yeah.
it's like one of my
Yeah.
I don't have a lot. Like there's not a
Yeah.
lot of things that have to be, but that,
Mhm.
like that's one of my things. Like
Mhm.
and it's not so much to like there have been days where I've been tired and I've just
Right.
thrown my stuff in the closet.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it sound like it's going to be the end of the world,
Right.
but it is my preference.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if I'm ever over at your apartment,
Hmm.
which I haven't even seen where you live now. I
No,
know
no.
where you live because I picked you up, but
Right.
like,
Well, I'm sharing a space with my sister right now. She is a
yeah.
beautiful place, but we're just kind of there as well. I'll have my new
Yeah.
place though by
Yeah.
next month,
Yeah.
so you
That's
can come over and check that
exciting.
out. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
I'll come and I really want to mess up your closet when you're not looking.
That's what I'm
That's
expecting. I'm
literally
just
what
gonna
I'm
go
gonna
in and
do.
start rearranging stuff.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna go in later and be like,
Oh yeah.
Jordan.
I'll be like, I didn't do it.
Be like, I don't know. What
What?
do you mean? Yeah. But
Yeah.
be like, Lyle must have done it. Weird. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's so funny. One thing I do love about moving is the setup process. Actually, that's my
Oh,
favorite part of
it is
moving.
better than like setting up your
Yeah, ever like
kitchen.
because the tear down when you're moving, I look at it in three stages,
Mhm.
right? So you have the tear down of the old place, you have
Mhm.
the actual move,
Yeah.
right? And then you have the creation.
Mhm.
And the creation is my favorite part
Okay.
because
Yeah.
that's what you got to do. You're making your whole place, you're going to make it your own. Um, you get to go through and style it how you want, right? It
Mhm.
really is a whole creative
Yeah.
period and you're making it, this place represents who you are, right? And
Yeah.
I love that. But I'm a creator. Like anytime I get to create something, like it's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
like design it and
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
you're probably excited then
I
for
am.
your new
Yeah. I've
place.
been designing it in my head how I'm going to put it through and with the layout and everything. I'm not even joking. Like I've written out, like I drew out little stuff and like started
Oh,
like doing
so
like how I was going to put it in. Yeah.
organized. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Spatial, like, I'm not good at like paperwork,
Yeah.
right? It's not my jam.
Right.
But like visually thinking,
Mhm.
I'm very good at that.
You're a creative
Yes,
mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can look at it and be like, okay, I know roughly that desk is about 4 feet by 6, right? So
Yeah.
then I can look at an area and know, okay, that's gonna take up generally this amount of
Mm,
space. And like I can design the whole room in my
that's
head.
cool. I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
And then most of the time it'll work.
Yeah.
Like I have the right amount of spaces and everything. Like, yeah.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
very
really
visual.
realize people. I have noticed that, there are people that truly can like design. There are a lot of times home stagers or
Yeah.
interior designers or whatever. Even sometimes like contractors or people that build things,
Mm-hmm.
like they can see that. And I
Right.
am not, I am creative in some ways, but that is not
One of the ones that you
one of
have.
them. Mm-mm,
Yeah, because you
no.
are very creative. I've
There's
seen a
so
lot of
it's
stuff that
more
you've
like
done.
with food, parties,
Painting?
painting. Yeah, it's stuff like that. So I have
Yeah.
certain, skills like that, but yeah, not
Yeah.
not like that.
Yeah, see, I see it. Like even with
Hire you
haircuts,
for that.
like when I'm doing haircuts, a lot of times I'll talk to people now. Something I learned that's worked greatly for me is not to talk to them about lengths,
Okay.
right? So instead of being like, how short do you want it on the sides? I now talk to people, what do you want it to look like?
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And then they
What's
can
the look we're
say,
going for?
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Because I don't need you to
Yeah,
tell me how
because
short to cut it.
none
I
of
know how
us
short to cut it.
know any of that. Yeah,
Right.
that's a
You know what
great
I mean?
idea.
And a lot of people, like you said, they know what they want to look like,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they don't know how to execute it. And that's
Yeah,
my job.
for
And
sure.
even since I started,
Uh-huh.
like people in school used to ask me, they'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, how do you just know? And I'm like, what do
Yeah.
you mean? They're like, well, you can see a haircut. And then like, we haven't been taught how to do them yet. And you just start in and already know how to
Oh.
cut the hair. And I don't know how, but I just used to tell them
You
like,
can
I just see the
see the
angles.
end product kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I know this area needs to slope.
Yeah.
Well, that means I'm gonna have to pull the hair out and cut it at this angle because then it's gonna fall and slope like this. Like
Mhm.
it just makes
Yeah.
sense, you know?
Yeah.
Where other stuff, like if you were to like give me a page of reading and
Yeah.
like write it down, I'd be like, I like bananas. I don't know how to do that. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like it'd just
right,
be lost.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. hmm
interesting.
I mean,
Uh,
I can read. I
that's
can read just
cool.
fine. I don't want to make myself sound stupid, but it just takes a
You give
lot
me a
longer.
page and I can't read that.
No, it's just, well, that's the thing. Like, where somebody may sit down and read that page in like 5 minutes, it's
Yeah.
going to take me like a half an hour. Like, I am a slow
Wow.
reader, a slow, like, yeah, that's probably like, and I don't even say that like embarrassing. Like, it just
Yeah,
is what it is. But yeah, some people are very
totally.
quick readers, not this guy.
Yeah, yeah. We have our strengths and weaknesses,
Absolutely. Yeah,
and that's why we can leverage others for our weaknesses.
exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep. I wonder if that's because I am such a visual person, like in the conversation when somebody like closes off that end of the conversation, like when they say like, "Oh, never
Mm,
mind."
mm-hmm.
I don't know how I'm trying to tie this together 'cause it's
Like
not like I'm
there,
seeing
maybe
something.
you need that end
I
destination
guess so, yeah.
to not have that anxiety.
Well, it feels like there's nothing there though,
Uh-huh.
right? And like
Yeah.
an open like
Yeah.
nothingness is like,
Right.
what is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I was going with
Crazy.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Worth exploring.
absolutely. I'll
I
talk to Gary
know.
about that tomorrow.
Yeah,
Good old Gare
exactly.
Bear.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
so yeah, pet peeves. I can't think. I'm sure I have others. But I'm usually pretty easygoing
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah. Same.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I learned a long time ago. Like when I was younger, things used to bother me more.
Mhm.
And then you learn the art of choosing battles,
Right. Yeah.
right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that was a
Totally.
big one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to unlearn a lot of things that just from childhood
hmm
because I was raised in a very rigid home. So there were a lot of rules.
Same. Yeah.
And yeah, and it's like so there was a lot of do this or don't do that. Like a lot that were not they didn't come from me, obviously. They
Right.
came from my parents, which I'm not talking bad about them.
Of
They're
course not.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, but it was just one of those things, and they're the first to talk about it now. They're like, "Oh, well, maybe
Well,
we were a little."
I think that's understandable.
Yeah,
I think as
yeah.
all parents we go
Like, it's
through
better
and you try your
than
best, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Some parents don't care at all, and that's
hmm
even worse because at least mine, really
Right.
cared. But anyways, but yeah, they were not my ideas, but they were very ingrained in me. So then when I like started into adulthood or
hmm
had my first marriage, like because I was like just turned 19, so
Okay.
I
Yeah.
still was kind of in that mentality. And I was like super controlling with him on stuff. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that. Don't, because to me, that's how you are supposed to live.
Right.
And he would resist that, of course,
hmm
because he's like, I can do what I want. Like, you don't get to decide how much I eat or what I put on my toast or like, but
Right.
all of those were things that I didn't have control over. There was a
Right.
right way to do it. Otherwise, you got in trouble.
hmm
So I then was trying to do that with him
Yeah.
and so I had to unlearn those things like not only can I do make up my own rules for
hmm
myself, but other people can do that too and that is okay
Which,
and good for them.
yeah,
So weird how that is.
it is weird. I think like you hit it on a nail head right there, or
Hit the
however you
nail
say it.
on the head.
Yep, that's how you say it.
You hit it all on
Um,
the nail head.
you hit it all with a nail.
Like hitting things with a
Yeah,
nail.
that's I
It's not
immediately
gonna
it's
do
not gonna do
yeah.
anything. Um, but yeah, you're right. Like I remember that moment too, where it was like I could eat ice cream for dinner if I wanted. You know, like I don't know how to say it any differently, but that's kind of like,
It is so
yeah,
true.
where and
Mhm.
then it's almost like okay, so did you have like because I grew up and again nothing against my parents or anybody who's Mormon
Mhm.
or anything like that, right? But
Yeah.
I grew up in a Mormon house as well, and there were a lot of rules on how things needed to be done.
Right.
Um, and also both my dads were military men too. So
Mhm.
there was almost that put into it as well, right?
Yeah.
Like there were like I remember my dad sitting
Right.
us down as a family and
Oh, no.
yeah. Well, so we had a big family, all right, already. and my parents were doing their best. Like, so I
Yeah,
want to be
yeah.
clear, right?
Right, right, right.
But I remember a family meeting where my dad sat us all down and explained to us how wiping only took 2 squares,
Oh my
right?
gosh!
You know what I
That's
mean?
not true, by the way.
And then like showed us like how to do it. Like not literally on his butt, but you know what I mean? Like was like he didn't like pull his pants. I don't want to like missell. Like Myron's a very good man. But like he sat there and he was like so you would wipe once and then you fold it, you would wipe again, and then you can fold it again. And like showed us like a 6-fold like thing, right? And like
It's
just
like
because they were trying to like save money. Yeah, like for real, like poop origami, poopgami.
you make
And
it look. You make a crane.
It's like it was so like I'll always my brothers and I always laugh about that because like we'll always remember it. You know what I mean? And so I remember like
Like every time you go, you hear his voice in your
oh
head.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like oh, how many squares are you like and I'm sure like we
You look
had
down from above. You
yeah,
hear the
it's
echo.
like how many squares are you using? You know, what? Oh, two, I promise.
Yeah. Or if you're mad at him, 3.
Like I'm bunching it all up today.
Yeah.
Just wrapped like my hand in mummy fist, you know, just to go at it like that.
Uh,
But that's yeah, that was one of we had a lot of things like certain foods you could eat and
mhm,
when,
mhm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I remember when we came home from school, we were only
Mhm,
allowed like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or certain,
mhm.
but there were a lot
Yeah.
of us boys in the house too. We would have eaten my family
Yeah,
out of
you would
house
have
and whole.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
If
So
there was like
if we yeah, and they had
yeah.
like my parents didn't have a lot, right? So like certain foods were for certain meals as
Yeah,
well, you
right.
know.
Yeah,
So
we did yeah, that was that way too. Yeah.
right. So I don't want to
Mhm.
make my parents sound horrible, you know, because
Yeah.
they weren't.
But there were
There were
yeah,
rules.
like my kids can dig around and eat whatever they want.
Right.
Like,
Same
well,
with Lyle and I. Yeah,
within reason, but yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have the same restrictions and things like that. If I had
Mhm.
7 kids or so, like they did, you know what I
And you
mean?
had to be on a tight budget.
Right. They only
Mhm.
had a one income. My mom at that house wasn't working at the time.
Mhm.
And she was doing other things, you know, to
Yeah.
help out. I'm not trying to make her sound bad or anything,
Right.
but you know, with one income and that many kids, like I don't know how anybody could do it even anymore, you
I
know.
know,
Like
it's
it's
so
crazy
expensive.
out. Everything
Mhm.
is so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I do have like a selection like my kids know what they should make. It's because they 3 of them are on ADHD medication which
right.
reduces their appetite.
Hmm.
So I have to do that because otherwise they'll eat empty calories and not any protein. So
Absolutely.
I have high calorie, high protein options for them
That's smart.
because if I do just let them truly make literally any decision they want, they would eat like bread and honey or something.
Right.
I'm like, no, you need like peanut butter, you need,
Hmm.
an
Yeah, you need those
egg for
extra stuff.
breakfast or whatever. So yeah.
Absolutely. Especially as somebody who grew up on those kind of medications
Mm-hmm.
and was classically always thinner because of it.
Right.
You're 100% right. Like
Mm-hmm.
if their metabolism is fast at all, and then you add that stuff in,
Right.
their body's gonna be burning through everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really smart you're doing that. I know
Yeah.
we had to do
Well,
the
the
same
doctor
thing with
told us
Lyle.
to, so
Yeah. Well, that's good.
I
Like,
mean, I wouldn't have thought of it otherwise,
but you
but
listened.
yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean
Yeah.
that shows
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, because if they're not growing, they won't be able to have the medication, and that would be a nightmare. So it's very
Absolutely.
motivating.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that makes sense. That's we had to jump around because of that as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, well, and there were ones too. I remember I was still hyper, and they'd be
Mhm.
like, "Why isn't it working?" I'm like, "I don't want it to work." And they're
Right.
like, "What?" And I was like,
Oh, yeah.
"Yeah, no. If I want to be hyper, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
be hyper."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
And, like, we don't give all of our kids medication on the weekends
right?
because it doesn't really bother me. It's just at school, they couldn't finish assignments or whatever.
We did the same with
But it's
Lyle
like
for
at
that.
home, I'm like, I can handle them being hyper.
Well, it's
Like, it doesn't
personality.
bother
Yeah,
me, kids are
absolutely.
kids, but yeah.
Well, and I think that's right. Like, I mean, I think that's a good thing. Like,
Mhm.
I do the same thing with Lyle.
Yeah.
We tried a lot of different things first.
Right.
Like I know you did too.
Yeah.
And you run through the gambit, right?
Mhm. You
Of
try all the
diets
other
and
things
stuff like
first.
that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But he was having issues as well, getting through
Mhm.
school and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And once we got him on medication, just like the same thing during the weekends, during summer, he doesn't take it.
Yeah.
Um, but during school, and it's helped out tremendously,
Mhm. Yeah.
tremendously.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I mean, as somebody who grew up on medication,
Mhm.
I was very against it.
Right.
Funny
It's
enough.
scary. I mean, you're giving somebody who's growing
Right.
and their brain is developing. It should
Hmm.
be taken very seriously,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree. But with that being said as
Yeah.
well, like I think it still has a place.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of people just go to immediately to it. Like when I was younger,
Yeah.
I think a lot of kids were misdiagnosed with
Yeah.
ADHD
Yeah.
and probably didn't have it.
And like you
Um,
hear people say, "Oh, my kid was a zombie" and stuff. Like that's exactly how you know it was not used correctly.
mm-hmm.
Like you were
Mm-hmm.
given the wrong thing or the wrong dosage or both.
Right. Yeah,
Like
because it
my
shouldn't be
kids are
something.
absolutely not zombies. They're very focused. They
Yeah.
do a much better job at their schoolwork. They're
See,
not
that's
as
perfect.
confrontational. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly because that's what it's controlling their impulse controls,
Yeah.
right? Things like that. Because generally,
Because
us
it's
with
frontal
ADHD, we have
lobe. It's a
impulse
frontal
controls.
lobe issue, and that
Yeah,
is their impulsivity and their decision making.
100%.
And so now that the medication just balances it. I'm like, and
Yeah, it's
so
just a chemical imbalance. So
yeah, yeah. So,
that's cool.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's
Like,
awesome.
and we don't do food dye in our house.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar can make them hyper. Obviously, any human being in the whole world,
Right,
sugar makes you
right.
hyper. But
Dyes are a whole nother
that's
level.
not, yeah, it's the dye
Yeah,
that really makes a huge difference. So
mine are red and
that's the
blues.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if I eat red and
Red
blues, it's a
is,
horrible day.
yeah, red,
Yeah,
blue, and yellow. And
which purple is
are,
like the combination of red and blue,
yeah.
and grape's my favorite like flavor of
Oh,
anything.
yeah. You
So
like
like
banana too.
I do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
We've
like
talked about
banana
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
grape and banana.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, you're 100% right. The dyes are a big thing to try to stay away from.
Mhm.
Everybody's different, obviously, but it sounds
Yeah.
like you guys have worked in
Right.
with what works for
That one's
them.
easy too because the kids read the label and
Right.
they know they don't like how they feel with it
Yeah.
because they don't have it. So when they have it, like at a birthday party, there's a
Mm-hmm.
birthday cake with it.
Of
Like
course.
they're not allergic to it. So I'm like, yeah, like have the cake, you're good.
Right.
Like, but Doritos have it.
Mm-hmm.
Cheetos don't have it.
Really? I thought
Mhm.
Cheetos had that red dye in it, the red
No,
40.
no,
No?
no.
Don't they have something
Doritos
else
do
though?
though. Yeah,
Doritos
they have
do.
other stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Because
There
I
might
remember
be a
talking about
kind
like
of
the
Cheeto, but now there are multiple like Cheeto brand
maybe
and the
they
white Cheetos that
yeah.
don't. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then
I love a Cheeto
there's
puff.
lots of weird things. But no, those are
It's my
so
favorite.
good. They're
I don't
so
like other
messy though.
Cheetos.
It's like
Yeah.
I want to be alone when I eat them.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
maybe you just eat them with like a chopstick.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
smart.
Have you seen people do that before?
No, I
Yeah.
thought you just thought of it for the first
Nope.
time.
Wish. I mean, I did. You're right.
Yeah.
Genius.
Well, so like we don't buy stuff like that. So it's like I would never actually eat one alone because I don't buy
I don't blame
those.
you. I
But
saw
if
in a
I was to eat
video
them.
they
Uh-huh.
were eating the chili lime ones or whatever,
Yeah.
the really
I
spicy
have had
ones,
those
and
somewhere.
that's what they were eating with
Yeah.
the chopsticks.
Yeah.
And the whole
That's
thing
so
was to not get
cool.
their fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's another thing. In addition to KFC, we need to eat that. Which I bought
KFC.
KFC shortly after. Whoa.
Yeah,
Shortly
was
after.
it everything you dreamed
Oh
up?
yes, it was so good. It was like the day before Christmas. It
Oh,
was like
yeah, I
and I
love it.
thought of you with the gravy.
Good.
I was like, "Dang, he drank a whole thing."
Yeah,
But it was so
I'll
good.
do it
I
again.
always get the mashed potatoes every time.
How can you not?
I
Yeah,
know.
it's like
Yeah.
there's certain things. Okay, so depending on places I go,
Mhm.
there's certain things I always order,
Yeah.
right? So no matter what I get at KFC, there always has to be like some type of mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah.
Like I'll
Yeah.
even get the side just so I can have
Mhm.
it, right?
Yeah.
Uh not Carl's Jr. Jack in the Box.
Uh-huh.
They have like these really like sorry, Jack in the Box, but they're like crappy tacos,
Okay.
right? And they're like
Okay.
$1.25 for two or something
Yeah.
like that, right? But I love them.
Yeah.
Like as
Okay.
crappy as they are,
So they
like
don't taste crappy?
no, no, I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
they're like processed meat,
I mean,
like you know
I
what I mean?
worked at
Like,
Jack in the Box one time,
did
so
you?
I
Okay.
made them. I just never ate
Oh,
them.
they're great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you need a quick taco for cheap,
Yeah.
you can't beat it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is it as good as like an authentic street taco? No,
Mhm.
absolutely not.
Right.
It never
Right.
would
Right.
be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as just a crappy American style taco,
Mhm.
like you can't beat them.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
so I'll go and
Are
get
they
like a
better than
burger.
the Taco Bell ones? Because I've eaten those.
Ooh,
Because I like to
no.
get the Crunch Wrap, and then it comes with a taco.
So it's just different because they deep fry their tacos at Jack in the Box.
Mm.
So it comes with a whole different like kind of flavor to it and
Okay,
everything, if
yeah.
that makes
I
sense.
blocked out all my Jack in the Box memories
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I walked out before my first paycheck.
Nice.
So
Well, I gotta hear
it
that
only
story.
lasted like a week and a half.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, some
anyways,
jobs are like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
some
it
jobs are
was
like
not
that.
good.
Yeah. That's part of like growing up. You got to find
Yeah,
out what works for you and what doesn't, right?
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that's with anything. I mean, like
yeah.
even in relationships, when you start hanging
Mhm.
out, there's going to be some trial period where you figure out like, oh, I like
Yeah,
this, I don't. You know what I mean? And you
yeah.
kind of you work together to figure that out. I
Right.
think it's the same thing with jobs.
Yeah.
and whether or not it's gonna like
Right.
last long or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're great tacos, but I have to get them
Mhm.
at any time. Like
Yeah.
Lyles loves them now too. I've
Right.
got him onto it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome.
what else? Like, what are other things? Like, do you have any places like if you go there, you're like, I gotta get
Ooh,
this?
so I love Arby's.
Oh, Arby's is great.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't eat fast food very much.
Right, right.
Like just because like the kids, like I try to do like home cooked things,
Absolutely.
blah blah blah. But
When you do.
one of my favorite, yeah, and in the summer, I love going through a drive-through, getting some lunch for us, and then we go to a park and we have a picnic. So that's just like a
Yeah.
ritual. So in the summertime, I do tend to go more because we're
That
doing
makes
stuff like
sense.
that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
and you're
love
burning
Arby's.
calories, you're out and about. It's
Yeah,
not like you're just sitting around.
totally.
So you can
Yeah.
take in calories if you're gonna go
Yeah.
burn them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So, Arby's is my second favorite, and I just really like their roast beef
Yeah,
sandwiches.
they got the
It's pretty
meats.
basic, but it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I could do without any. Oh, I like Taco Bell. I like
Okay.
Crunchwrap. Yeah.
Yeah, the crunch wraps are
So
good.
those are my three like things that and if anyone wants to go literally anywhere else, like McDonald's, Jack in the Box, a lot of times I'll just not eat it because I don't like it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I eat Burger King a lot for
Yeah.
the convenience though, 'cause
Hmm.
it's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you Jack in the Box? That Jack in the Box is connected to my hit and run. I'm sure I've told you
I'm
about
sure you
it.
have.
Yeah, like with the handicapped
I think
vehicle.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that one.
We're gonna tell the viewers?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like 20 years ago,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure if anyone is
you're
listening
like,
to this that was on that van,
yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure,
I
it's
mean, things
fine.
happen.
It's
Yeah.
fine. Whatever.
But
I'm sure I didn't have car insurance, so I don't know. Mine won't cover them
right.
because I didn't have any.
Well, that happens.
Yeah,
Whatever.
but yeah, it was raining and it was before I had LASIK eye surgery, so I
Okay.
could not see very well in the rain when I was driving,
Yep.
which is terrifying.
Yeah.
But also, how was I supposed to get to work? Like, I
Right.
guess I could have found, well, where I lived was 4 miles from anywhere I ever worked. So there
Wow.
were days where I walked to work if
Okay.
my car battery died or if I didn't have gas.
Right.
But I did try to drive around, but I really couldn't see in the rain or the dark,
Okay.
and it was raining and it was a white van, one of those big white vans that is meant for wheelchairs, and
Okay.
it was filled with people. Like I mean it was probably only like 4 or 6 people. It was very long, but
Right.
anyway, so I hit it. I
Yeah.
like my passenger hit their passenger.
Okay.
I mean, not passenger. My
Yeah, yeah. I know
passenger
what you meant.
side hit their passenger side. So it
Right.
wasn't like a T-bone and it wasn't
Right.
quite direct head on. And so I was like, "Oh my gosh." So I was late for my Jack in the Box shift.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, or I was right on time, but if I stopped, I would be late.
Right.
And it was like my third day. And so I was like, and I didn't, so my license was suspended.
Yeah.
And I already had like 2 SR22s, which is some like, I don't remember
I've been
what it
there.
is anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what
I
I
do.
just know they up your insurance and it's basically like, uh, you just got written up or something.
Right, right. It's like a write up on
Yeah,
insurance.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I had 2 of those and I didn't have insurance at all at this time.
Right.
And then my license was suspended for not paying tickets because I didn't have the money.
Yeah.
Which is
Which
why I got a
happens.
second job at Jack in the Box
Yeah.
because I owed an old boyfriend $500 for the college class that I took and never graduated from.
Okay.
So my life is just real not
You
great
were
at
making
the time.
decisions.
I
Yeah.
was making decisions. And so I hit the van and I'm like, oh my gosh. And my car got very smashed in because I had
Yeah.
a little Mazda, like Protege,
Oh yeah.
probably something like that. And
Mhm.
they're very like soft, I guess. Like
Yeah.
it did not, the van was fine, probably. I think it was
Oh,
fine.
it's
Like
gotta
I
be.
probably just
Those things are
rattled
huge and
them.
heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, but mine got smashed in. Anyways, and I
Right.
was like, so I just pulled around and I heard an ambulance coming because they probably got a little jolt out of it, you
I'm sure.
know?
Yeah.
I definitely didn't like kill anyone.
No.
I just like
You didn't
tapped
hit him that
them.
hard. Yeah.
And so
Like if you would
I
have T-boned him
raced
or
around.
something, yeah,
I thought they
absolutely.
were gonna like turn around and
Mhm.
chase me. So they didn't, but I went like some back roads and then I didn't park at Jack in the Box. I
Okay.
hid in some other parking lot
Right, right.
and then walked,
Just in case.
hopped a few like fences and walked into Jack in the Box and then did my shift.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that
Yeah, I think a
fun
lot of us
story
have been
about Jack in
there.
the
I
Box.
mean,
And then like I ended up walking out because Okay, so, like, I had walked in there, I said, "I need a second job." They're like, "You can be the
Absolutely.
night shift manager," and I had a day job. So I was like, "Perfect, I'll work days there, nights here." I don't know how I was planning to work that out with sleeping or anything, but
Right.
I was desperate, obviously, because
Right.
I didn't have a license and everything. So I, like, walked in, he hired me on the spot, obviously, because it's Jack in the Box.
Right.
And so so I get hired, and then, like, I was supposed to watch his orientation on the computer,
Oh yeah,
like,
one
in
of
the
those little
back
videos.
room.
Yeah.
No, and so, like, the guy that hired me was the district manager,
Mm-hmm.
and he was, like, older, like, he was
Mm-hmm.
probably, like, 60,
Yeah.
and he walks up behind me while I'm taking the training videos and starts rubbing my shoulders. I
No.
know, and I was like, and I was young, so I didn't know if I'd get in trouble if I said something.
Right.
I'd never ever
That's
had
so horrible.
sexual harassment training anywhere,
Right.
and so I was just like, "What do I do?"
So
And so
uncomfortable.
that, like, continued, and I finally just left after a week and a half. I'm
Good for
like, "I
you.
don't know what to do here." I didn't even get my first paycheck
Yeah, which sucks.
from a week and a half of torture,
Yeah, you got
and it
tortured.
was really sucky work too.
Yeah, no, food work
It
is
was
not
not
fun.
easy.
No,
Everyone is you just hate everything about it. You hate the people, you hate the customers, you hate the work,
mm-hmm.
like,
It's
not
not
cool,
fun.
man. At
No,
least now they pay above minimum wage, but not back then.
right. Yeah, then you were
Not
just
in
making.
2007.
Well, and food people are horrible. Like I've worked in food for many years as well, and I know I'm my worst when I'm
Yeah.
hungry,
Right. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I know that about me. So
Uh-huh.
I think a lot of us are. You know what I mean? Like
Everyone
I
walks
know
in
that.
hangry.
Oh yeah,
Mm,
just when they're so hungry, and it's
yeah.
and not to give them excuses. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because we still need to be decent people to each other, right?
Mhm.
But it is a hard job.
Yeah.
It is a very hard job
Yeah.
to keep your patience with somebody who's
Right.
just being an asshole to you. You
Mhm.
know?
It's so true.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
and pet peeve,
Oh.
pet peeve.
Oh.
I have an issue. Okay, I am in the business of service. I love serving people. I
Mhm.
truly do. I
Mhm.
love people coming in and I get to be the guy who cleans them up and gets them ready.
Yeah.
When they tell me, oh, my girlfriend or my wife loves my haircut, I got all
Mhm.
these kisses, all that, or I got this date. Like, I'm like, that's right. You're welcome. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, that's because of me. So I have no problem being not a servant per se, right? But being
Yeah.
of service. Let me say it that
Right.
way.
Yeah.
When people start talking to me like I'm their servant,
Oh,
that's when I have
that's
an
so
issue. Yeah, or when
awful.
people like this is one too when you're doing something for somebody,
Yeah.
right? And they're not doing anything and they talk to you as if your service isn't that big of a deal. That bothers me
Right.
as well. And they're like, "Oh,
Yes.
it's not that big a deal. It's just this
Essentially,
easy. It's just
they
that
think
easy."
they're better than you.
Right. And it's like, "Well, I'm the one doing all the work, so don't tell me how easy it
Yeah,
is." Do you
and
know what I'm
they
saying?
obviously can't do it,
Right.
whatever it
No,
is,
exactly.
like
Yeah. And so that always and like
I
even
know.
because I know a lot of people don't do it purposefully, right? You know what I
Mhm,
mean? They're not
mhm.
being malicious even. Maybe they just haven't thought about it. To them it's
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
"Oh, well
You know,
you're a
there's just you
professional
can
at it."
identify those people,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you're like, their heart is in the right place. But
Absolutely.
you can
But it
also
still bothers me.
identify when it's the assholes
Oh, yes.
that are think they're better than you.
Oh,
That
yeah.
you can usually tell.
Oh, yeah, I fired
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I
Oh,
fired
yeah, yeah,
clients
yeah.
over that. Yeah, I hate that
Yeah.
shit. Like, I
Mhm.
had one guy, he messaged me and he's a good friend actually.
Uh-huh.
So he's not like, you know what I mean? But I had to like kind of like clarify with him.
Yeah.
And he was like, he messaged me one time. He was like, "Hey, can you help me do my hair?" Uh, he's like, now I'm trying to remember. He essentially wanted me to help him do his hair for a wedding.
Uh-huh.
He wanted to come in, I would do his hair for him,
Yeah.
right? Like style it, not
Yeah.
even cut it, just
Yeah.
style it,
Okay.
and then he would go to the wedding,
Yeah.
right? And the way he said it was as if he was doing me a service. I'm trying to remember
Yes.
exactly how it was said, but
Okay,
I was
okay.
like, because I had to be like,
Were you
or
getting
you
paid
mean
at
like,
least?
yeah, well,
Okay.
so
That's
no,
good.
actually, I wasn't gonna even,
So
I was
you're
gonna
just
charge
doing
him. I
a
was gonna do
favor.
it for him because I
Oh,
was like,
that's
just come
nice
in,
of
I'll throw
you.
some pomade in your hair, and
Yeah.
he offered, like,
Yeah.
but
Okay, okay.
the
That's
way he
good.
said it, he was like, "You're welcome," and I'm like, "You mean thank you?" You know what I mean? Like,
You
because
do know,
yeah, yeah, like
like
I just remember being like, like, because he was like, "Oh, you get to do my hair," and I'm like,
uh-huh.
"Do you think I'm just sitting here waiting? Like,
Right.
oh man, I'm so excited I get to do your
Mhm.
hair." And he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah," and I was like, "Yeah, you
Yeah.
mean thank you for doing my hair,
Yeah.
right?" And he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Okay," because I don't just sit around being like, "Oh man, I wish I could put pomade in somebody's hair,"
You
like,
don't?
yeah, yeah, like. Oh, I'm
You
so
yearn for
thankful.
it,
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
especially for free.
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And I love this guy. I
Oh,
really want,
okay,
like, he comes
okay.
to me all the time. So
And
I'm
it
not trying to
sounds
like,
like you told him, like, you reminded him, like,
right.
"Hey."
Yeah. And he immediately was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
realized like, so
Yeah.
he's a good, like, that
It
was one of those
yeah.
non-malicious times. But even then, like, it's, I think, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people, I would like to think a lot of people aren't doing it out of maliciousness
Mhm. Right.
because I would like to give people the
Yeah,
benefit,
because
right?
it's one thing if you
Um,
do kind of, like, gently remind them, like, "Oh, I am running a business.
right,
I'm doing this" I'm in the service industry, but,
right.
and you can remind them and, like, "Yeah, you're right," for sure. But if
Yeah,
they, like, reject that and they're like, "Well,
yeah,
I pay you, so you do what I want."
exactly. It's like,
Like,
well,
dang.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can't stand that.
People
Or
do
just,
that with real estate a little bit
oh,
too.
I'm sure.
Like,
Yeah,
they want you to just grovel for their work
right.
or like for them to hire. Oh my gosh, people think I'm going to grovel to them, like, to get them to use me, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "I have great service. I am a professional,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to just, like, grovel to you to try to like,
Yeah.
you're lucky if I choose to work with you."
Boom. Yeah. I had a
Like,
guy
it's
hit
gotta go 2 ways.
100%.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I've owned my barber shop now for almost 3 years,
Yeah.
right? Been in the game for over six. I've been cutting my son's hair since he was 5. He's 16 now, so over 10
Right.
years. Um, I'm not that I am the best barber in town, but I'm
Mhm.
pretty darn
You
good at what I
provide
do.
excellent service.
Agreed.
And when
I have
you say
people,
yes to someone, you're saying no to someone else
well,
because you can
absolutely.
only cut so much hair
Right.
in a day.
Well, and I have people still hit me up and they're like, "Hey, uh, why don't we set up they're like, "You want to can we set up a haircut and maybe, you could cut my hair for practice and try to get a free haircut?" And I'm
Oh,
like, "How much
wow.
practice do you think? One, are you telling me that I'm a shitty barber so I need practice? Because that's what it's coming
Yeah.
across as, like you're being insulting. Two, do you not think I'm busy cutting hair all day long?"
It's like I own a business.
Right, right. Like, what do you
My
mean? Like,
business is thriving because I have appointments booked 2 weeks out.
exactly.
Because you
So,
usually book a ways out,
oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like
Yeah.
there'll still be spots like within my like, but usually it's only like a couple. Like
Yeah.
most of my hours get
Like
booked
some
out.
yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just crazy to me because it's like what kind of like one, like what do you think your hair is super hard that like people need the practice of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
and then two, it just cracks me up because it's like I don't
Mhm.
think they think about how insulting they're being.
Yeah.
There's certain sayings like that. And I wish I could think of some. Like when
Yeah.
people say something and you're like, do you realize how insulting you're being
Yeah.
right now? Like, like, yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
sure people do it in real estate as well. Like, and
Mhm.
it's funny because like that is the thing. I always tell people like I'd and we've talked about this before. It's
Mhm.
kind of like when I first started out, there was a little bit of desperateness, right?
Mhm.
I'll take whoever I
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
But then you also
That's true.
learn,
Same with yeah, same.
right?
Yeah. Mhm.
But then I think
You can
maybe all
start
business owners are not, they realize, yeah, like, you know what? I want to mold what type of
Mhm.
clients I want,
Yeah, you
right?
have your target audience and the type of person you want to work with.
Exactly, yeah. And that's been one of the great things is like filtering that out and even figuring out like who's going to be not a fussy client because I don't mind anybody having like if I didn't cut it right or
Mhm.
anything like that, I
Right.
want to know.
Well,
It
and you
doesn't
can
bother
tell if
me.
they're never happy.
That's
You
what I'm
you
trying to say.
know that they're the ones
Yeah.
that are never happy.
Yeah.
You can't do anything
I said that
right.
to a guy once because
Yeah.
like I cut his hair a couple times
Yeah.
and each time he'd go, good enough. And
Oh.
that bothered me. So the third
Ah. It's
time,
like I can't do any that no one can do better than this, dude.
and that's why I was like, well, my thing is
Like,
this
what
not
would
what
you
you want
change?
then?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like good enough isn't like that. I'm not a good enough barber. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm not a
Right.
good enough at anything.
Yeah, you're
That's not
like
how I live
you're
my
a
life.
kind of a perfectionist,
Just a
really.
little bit. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I am. I agree with you. Like if
Yeah.
you're like, because I believe if you're gonna do something, do it right. You know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
Like, why not? And so, yeah, I remember being like, okay, well, I don't do good enough. So
Mhm.
what do we need to do to make it perfect?
Yeah,
And I
and he
remember him
didn't
going,
know.
what? And I go, yeah, because you're kind of insult. I was like, I know you're
Yeah.
probably not trying to be mean, but when you tell me good enough, it's insulting because
Yes,
it means I'm not
yes.
doing it right
Right, yeah,
because that's what
yeah,
words mean. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
And he goes, "Oh." And he was just an older man, right? And he just
Uh-huh.
immediately goes, "Oh, no, you do it perfectly. I'm
Oh.
sorry."
Okay,
But he realized he
good,
just
good,
wasn't
good.
saying like he just meant like
Yeah.
it's good enough, like he's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
having a good time with
yeah.
his friends. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, and he was
Totally.
like, "Oh, I didn't even think about that." And I was like, "Yeah, man."
Yeah.
I was like, I've been sitting here thinking like I'm not doing a good job. And he's like,
Mhm.
"No, that's why I come back. You do a great
Oh,
job." He's
yeah,
like, "I'm
yeah.
sorry."
It's good that
And
you like, but I'm sure he does. He was doing that probably everywhere
oh yeah,
and
like I wonder if
probably
he's doing it to other people too.
hurting, but he didn't mean to. And it's
No.
nice you brought that to light and that he listened. See, that's
Right.
key right there is when they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And,
Hmm.
they listen to that.
That's what my thing is. Like I think most things can be talked out. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's something I've learned in my older years, you know?
Right.
Um, it's funny how some people don't want to talk anything out though. They just expect you to know.
Mm.
Do you ever run
Yeah.
into those situations?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where like you're new with somebody and they're like, I don't want to talk about it. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
this is how that works.
Right.
Like, yeah, any
Yeah.
kind of relationship,
Yeah.
friendship, girlfriend,
Yes.
boyfriend,
Yeah.
marriage, whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you got to figure out like there's compromises that have to be found,
Yes.
right? You
Yes.
know, it's
Yep.
just funny to me when
It's
people
so
can't work it
true.
out,
Yep.
or even just talk it
Open
out.
communication and an open mind. You
Yes,
have to have those two things.
true. That's so
So,
true. That's
yeah.
something I learned too is not to waste my time on people without an open mind,
Mm-hmm.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Because there are no two exactly like people. Like
right,
you're only going to be able to make it work or if you can compromise and you can listen to someone with a viewpoint other than your own,
I'll
aka
agree.
an open mind. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just a waste of breath otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are some people, not that I ever want to change anybody's mind or anything like that, but I know that
Mm-hmm.
there have been times where I had a definite feeling of about a certain way of things, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I talked with somebody and I saw another view.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it changed my
Totally. Me
perspective completely.
too. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
but yeah, that's little
And
pet
that's how we
peeves.
we know we can grow as people if we have an
Absolutely.
open mind
Right.
for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So,
is great. So, new year coming
yeah.
up, new words
Yeah.
to kind of, I know since you said grow, that was mine last year. What's
Right.
growth?
Yeah.
Um,
Do you know what this year will be for you?
I was just thinking about
2025?
that. Yeah. I mean, so we've got a lot of plans that do go around growth again
Mm-hmm.
because I'm looking to open up a new barber shop, right? And
Uh-huh.
things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, so growth almost does seem fitting again.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure if I'm gonna go with like I can't think of
Yeah.
anything else off the top of my head at this moment.
Right.
Um, because I've got my routines pretty much locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know like last year, like one big thing too was I wanted to become a man who didn't say I'm going to,
Mm-hmm.
but said or not like how like we used to be like
Yeah.
we're gonna do the Iron Man someday,
Right. Oh,
right?
yeah. And then
And
we
then we
didn't
did it.
actually follow through with the action
Exactly, right?
until we did. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And so
Yeah.
I want to be a man who doesn't say I'm going to, but says I am
Right.
doing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I've really accomplished that, which was hard because saying yes to a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
when you say no to a lot of things generally is like a huge lifestyle change.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um, but that's been good. So I think, um, yeah, I think growth will probably be the same
Mm-hmm.
again this year,
Mm-hmm.
if not something around maybe not
Mm-hmm. Like
discipline
it'll
exactly,
and yeah.
but something around that. Do you have,
Mm-hmm.
what
You
about you?
have 2 days.
I know.
So
That's why.
just think about it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna repeat mine
Yeah.
from 2024. In 22, mine was
Hmm.
bold, to learn to be more bold, to find my
Right.
voice, to speak my voice, not care what people think. And then 2023 was growth.
Yeah.
So yeah, so growth. And then mine was more personal growth,
Right.
though professional too, but personal because I was going through all of the therapy and like
Hmm.
working on myself. And then 2024 was discipline, which I came a long way. I mean, I did the
Good.
75 hard year.
It's awesome.
I have now habits that I have never had before. So I feel proud of myself, but I also recognize I do have a long way to go.
Hmm.
And I feel ready to just keep going. Like I don't feel maxed out now because I had a whole
Awesome.
year of like getting into new rhythms. So
Right.
yeah.
Building
So
those routines.
I'm going to do discipline again for 25 and just I need to really dial in kind of the areas I'm ready to focus on. That's the one thing I haven't done.
I like that.
Yeah. My
That's good.
mine for 24 was more like complete 75 hard year. Read more. I mean the things that are in 75
Within it.
hard, it
Yeah.
was like I wanted to do those things. So
I think that's smart.
now it's time to find kind of my own.
I like that.
So, yeah.
Now you got me rethinking mine too.
I know. I mean, yeah, repeating it's fine if you just want to stay on that trajectory and
Right.
like just still focus in, you know.
Well, growth is such a great word just because
Yeah.
it can focus in on your business, but also personal as well.
Right.
Because there are other areas I'm growing in that area as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
but yeah, I would
Mhm.
like to know what your guys' words end up being. Should write us
Yeah.
in, let us know,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we are
Heck
here. We're
yeah.
almost to another year.
All
By the
right.
time we see you guys
Yeah, by the
next,
time, yep, mhm.
it'll be New
Couple
Year's.
more days.
We're kicking stuff.
But yeah, stop kicking stuff. It's a pet peeve. No, I'm just kidding. Or you know what?
Yes.
Never mind.
What? All right. Oh, you got me. For a second, I was like, okay, and then I was like, wait a minute.
Ah! I couldn't resist. I was waiting to use that
That was
someday.
really good. That was really good. That was really done well. Because that was like you totally got me. That was like I totally didn't pick up on the fact that you were messing with me at first.
Yes.
It's like when people go, "What?" Anyways, but
All
all
right.
right.
Well, thank you everybody for joining the Real Cut podcast, where we give you our filter take on life.